Hi everyone, I have a message before we get into today's narration. The author of this story has a book coming out called Storming Area 51, Horror at the Gate. Here's a quick little synopsis. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance. Forced into battle, the alien race known as the Tau will do anything to rescue one of their own. Even create a viral Facebook event to get the humans to crash into the gates themselves. I don't know about you guys, but that definitely seems like a book I would read. So go ahead and check that out on the links below. Also, the links to the author's Facebook, Reddit, and this story are down there as well. I do hope you check it out. Now, without further ado, on to the narration. The Hijack Conspiracy by Drywitdrywine. After urging from my online conspiracy community members, I have agreed to post my story as a warning for all you pro-government deniers. Most of you won't believe what you're about to read. Some of you will think that I'm just another conspiracy nut trying to blow up the internet, but I assure you, I am not. I'm hoping to save you. It is no secret that there is a whole community of us that have been observing and analyzing airplane chemical trails, or chemtrails, since the early 90s. We collect and record detailed information including their routes, longevity, color, and points of intersection. I have personally been a member of this collective we call the Hive for over 10 years, and as a senior monitor, I take my job very seriously. Over the last 3 months, my neighbor Jim and I have noticed a significant increase in the frequency of chemtrails over our little town. Thanks to the specifically retrofitted UV spectrum glasses member Hellsburn Hot custom built and shipped to us, we were able to confirm 2 distinct color trails intersecting continuously. After combining our data with the other Hive members, we theorized the government or an agency within it to be testing a new combination of chemicals, calculating their disbursement time as well as the reactions in the atmosphere. Below is my personal account of what has happened here in Green Trail. Although I have extensive notes regarding our findings which I have shared with the Hive, I thought it prudent to only post the most recent and relevant information from the last 2 weeks below. June 10th, 15 days ago. My wife Jane spotted 3 black cargo vans with blacked out tinted windows come into our town today. They drove together in a row and are now parked at the Sherry's car rental parking lot. The plates are new, and after a quick search we confirmed they are all registered to one person, a Jonathan Winter. We believe these to be government surveillance vehicles, and with the increased testing in the area, decided to raise our threat level to red. As a precaution, Jane, the kids, and Jim will be staying close to home while the vans are in the area, and I will finish stocking fresh vegetables and fruit in case of an emergency, and we are forced into the bunker for an extended period of time. Wish us luck. 14 days ago, day 0. At 9:30 a.m., a Cessna AG wagon left the local hangar, flying approximately 300 feet above the town and released a chemtrail over Green Trail. I watched this happen from the safety of my pickup, vents permanently welded closed, and sped home. As we had planned and practiced, I called over the CB code, Yellow Canary, signaling to my family and anyone else listening to get into our fortified bunker immediately. Day 1. We have all safely made it into the bunker without issue. Everyone is showered and incinerated the clothing they were wearing in the event we brought in any trace elements. It was an intense night getting the kids settled into their new accommodations, but we managed and everyone is feeling positive and well rested. The surveillance equipment Jim installed 3 months ago around town is up and running, with all 8 cameras live on the monitors. Thank you so much, This Is Real 1969. Your suggestion of placing cameras on the light fixtures in town was perfect. Especially since Jim is a city worker, no one questioned what he was doing. Day 2. I am happy to announce that spirits are still high in the bunker, and it appears we have not been infected with a substance which we are now referring to as Hijack. As we all expected, the local news made no mention of the low-flying plane dosing the town, and nothing appeared in any articles carried by the mainstream media. We have begun taking shifts watching the surveillance feeds, noting anything unusual in our written logbook and passing that information to the next shift. I took the first 8-hour watch, followed by Jane and Jim. The 3 black vans are still present in the town. However, they are no longer stationed at Sherry's parking lot. The lead van is parked centrally in town beside the local supermarket on the road. The other 2 have begun patrolling the town in almost a grid-like pattern. The residents appear to be going about their normal day, following their routines unaware that they are part of a population test monitored by government agents. We haven't noticed any rashes or sores. However, we have noticed a slight change of their physical reaction time. It is almost imperceivable, but if you're paying attention, you will notice that everyone is becoming slower. A second delay before grabbing a coffee, a pause before saying good morning. We will continue to monitor the situation. Day 3. 2 additional vans have arrived in town. One appears to be disguised as a pest control vehicle labeled with the sticker saying, Vern's Roach Removal. After searching the internet, I was able to find a newly built Facebook account under the same name, but it was not local and had no reviews. We agree with the Hive that we do need a baseline to confirm our theory that Hijack is affecting those dosed by somehow slowing the reaction time. In an attempt to create said baseline, we have reviewed footage from day 0 when the monitor started recording, and I have confirmed 2 subjects that appear daily. Their day 0 movements will act as our baseline. Nora May is our first subject. She is viewed on the monitors in the evenings jogging along Main Road and is completely visible from the stretch of Maple Street to Cherry Avenue. From our baseline of day 0 to today, we have noticed a reduction in our jogging time from corner to corner of 7 seconds. Murray Wynn is our second subject. He arrives by foot from his small home every morning to open his hardware store at 9 a.m. For the last 2 days, we have noticed a slight pause or hesitation before crossing the road towards the store. Today he arrived 10 minutes behind schedule, which caused him to open the store approximately 15 minutes late. Day 5. Although we have tried to keep the kids focused on other things, they want to help where they can. Jane designed a fun game of watching the monitors together, each taking a van and drawing a map of their movements in different colored crayons. Ben's map is unreadable, but what can you expect from a 3-year-old after all? Jade, on the other hand, has done a very accurate representation of the vehicle movements. We are very proud of her. If it wasn't so serious, it would be adorable. I will post these when I can. I think you will all be interested in seeing it. Murray arrived late this morning. He appeared tired with dark bags under his eyes, and we viewed him yawning a few times during his short walk. Nora also began her day late today, not getting out for a jog a full 20 minutes behind schedule. Her speed has also seen a reduction from corner to corner, now a total of 12 seconds behind the original baseline. Day 6. From the timestamps on the monitors, it appears the whole town is running behind schedule. The grocery store and the gas station both open late today, and everyone is walking slower, each stride taking a fraction of a second more to complete than their last. Their smiles and polite nods look forced and meaningless. This is not typical for Green Trail, voted the friendliest town in the middle school's paper last year. Not typical at all. After much discussion with the Hive, weighing the pros and cons of each option meticulously, we have decided it is in the nation's best interest to proceed to Phase 2. Wish us luck. Day 7. I am happy to report that both Nora and Murray have been secured and are now resting in their enclosures. As we theorized, the reflexes and response time have been greatly impacted, and we were able to retrieve them from their homes with minimal injuries. We expect the chloroform to wear off shortly, and I've already set up personal touches in both of their rooms to make them as comfortable as possible. I would like to personally thank Hold the Phone 999 for helping Jim and I plan out the mission details. Without you, this could have gone sideways. Thank you, brother. Day 8. Nora and Murray awoke early this morning, understandably alarmed that they were not tucked into their own beds where they had fallen asleep last night. Jane and I tried our best to brief them on the situation, explaining the chemtrails and what it means. We pulled up documents and scientific research from the Hive's resources, as well as our own charts from recent activity. We explained how Green Trail is being used as a test population for an unknown substance, and in turn, they have been infected. We assured them we mean no harm, but we'll be monitoring them to understand what exactly is happening to them. Once we know more, we will be in a better position to help them. Nora is hysterical, screaming and sobbing, begging to be released. In truth, I do not think she heard anything we tried to explain, only saw a strange white room with a pass-through chamber and a large bulletproof window which we were standing behind. She is obviously in shock. We will attempt to talk to her again in the morning. Murray, on the other hand, listened intently as we explained the situation. He appeared calm, taking in his enclosure slowly, nodding his graying head towards the security and features we had built into the bunker. On a personal note, I would like to add I found it odd how accepting Murray was. He did not ask questions about the charts or government tests. Instead, he asked for something to be brought for him to eat and let us know he was a vegetarian. Maybe he was a believer before, or maybe this is Hijack? Day 9. Nora has calmed down enough for us to talk with her. In order to not overwhelm her again, we decided to only brief her on the situation at hand. We explained that even though she may not realize it, she herself has been infected and showing signs of reduced jogging times. She has refuted all evidence and has rationalized her physical changes to a recent hamstring injury. Although she is no longer hysterical, she is still very upset, periodically crying and begging us to let her go, and is refusing all food and water, believing we have done something to it. She doesn't trust us. My daughter Jade was able to coax her to drink from a water bottle, but only after she drank from it first, then placing it in the pass-through chamber. She has slept over 12 hours each day since her arrival, and movements have continued to slow down, exacerbated by the lack of calories. We will attempt to get her to eat with Jade in the morning. Murray has been a helpful and willing guest. He seems to believe us about being dosed by Hijack, admitting he feels off and is even open to visual medical examination through the window. We have noticed his movements and speech are slower than yesterday. We find him pausing in between words, sometimes repeating himself as if his mind is turning on the right one, like an old record skipping over a line and going back to the beginning. This is true for almost everything he does, with the exception of eating. Murray is a voracious eater, attacking all we put before him quickly as if he hasn't eaten in weeks, completely ignoring the utensils before him. He has consumed a minimum of 2 meal portions per sitting and has repeatedly asked for snacks throughout the day. The black vans continue to drive the perimeter of the town in a grid-like manner, with the exception of one van parked at the supermarket and Vern's Roach Control now parked outside the middle school. The street traffic itself seems much quieter than usual for a Thursday in June, with minimal vehicles heading to work and school. It has rained for 2 days, so we have been unable to assess residents' movements on the street. Day 10. Nora appears calm today, no longer carrying or yelling obscenities at us through the glass. Perhaps seeing and talking with Jade helped ease her mind. She requested breakfast and ate a 6-egg omelet with ham and potatoes, and then immediately asked for an additional portion of ham. There have been no other issues with her eating meals, and she is happily accepting whatever we place in front of her. Nora and Jade have formed an unlikely friendship and started a game of checkers this morning, with a board on either side of the window. This has been the perfect opportunity to observe Nora's movement and coordination without her feeling anxious. Unfortunately, it appears her movements, like Murray's, are very much delayed. When attempting to make a move, her hand will hang in the air for a moment, as if we're watching through a screen and someone hit the pause button. She then resumes her movement to grasp the piece and pauses again before finally finishing the move. It doesn't appear that she is aware of the lost moments. This remains true for most of her moments within her room, like getting dressed, walking around, and brushing her hair, with one exception: eating. Something is wrong with Murray. After lunch, he complained about the loss of sensation in his hands and feet. Within the hour, we noticed his hands begin to swell and change color to a deep molten purple. His paper-thin skin, stretched taut over his sausage-like fingers, looked ready to rip. After a visual inspection, we noted that 3 toes on his left foot appeared to have been broken, seemingly in the last day. However, he has no memory of this and admitted he hasn't had any feeling in his foot for over a day. Above the bloated purple flesh of his legs and arms, black spider-like webbing has begun to creep up his arms and legs, weaving their way up his back towards the base of his skull. Additional notes. At 11:30 p.m., Murray suffered a seizure in his room that lasted 12 minutes. He remained unconscious until 4:22 a.m. He woke up very confused but quickly became angry at Jim, demanding something to eat. He wanted meat. After an intense discussion, Jim obliged and proceeded to make Murray 3 ham sandwiches and then gave him 2 packages of beef jerky. He consumed them quickly and then demanded more. Day 11. Vehicle movement in town has become non-existent except for the black vans. No one is on the streets, and it appears the school buses are no longer running. We were able to pick up something unusual on camera number 4, which is angled in such a way that we have a partial view into Nancy Coles' house, through a large bay window. At 10:10 a.m., Jane believes she saw Nancy fall and have a seizure. She remained unmoving for over 4 hours, slowly getting up and moving away from the window and out of view. After reviewing the tapes closer, it appears her hands were dark and swollen, although it is hard to be certain. Murray is unrecognizable. The encroaching black webbing has spread further along his now graying chest and spine overnight. By 11 a.m., it had completely taken over his face like the splinters of a shattered mirror. His appetite is never-ending. Over the last 12 hours, he has consumed 4 1-liter jars of canned beef, 3 packages of beef jerky, and 2 dozen eggs. He has become aggressive in his demands for food, refusing anything but meat or protein. By dinner time, he became crazed and began screaming incoherently, trying to force the locked pass-through chamber open, ripping the skin off his hands in the process, exposing dark, festering muscle and bone. A black tar-like substance oozed from his wounds and splattered the window as he threw his body against it over and over with a sickening thump. He has not slept since the seizure, and neither have we. I have asked the children to stay in their own rooms from here on out. Day 12. The entire town of Green Trail has been removed from all satellite feeds and online maps. We tried everything we could think of, and it appears all traces of the town have been wiped off of the internet. Jim attempted to view the town using our coordinates, however the town roads and buildings have been obscured by a wooded lot on every satellite image we can find. Green Trail doesn't exist anymore. Thank you, Hats Off Cedar, who alerted us to this change this morning via private message. It is good to know that you are all out there watching our backs while we fight this thing. Our surveillance feed picked up 10 semis with trailers enter the town at 6 a.m. this morning. They are parked side by side in the middle school's parking lot. We have yet to see a driver emerge from one of the vehicles. Murray is dead. It is unclear what the exact cause of his death was, But after hours of rushing the bulletproof glass headfirst like a linebacker, ripping his skin open and breaking his nose and jaw, and who knows what else with the force of the impact, we are assuming he hit his head at the wrong angle and snapped his neck. Perhaps it was the right angle he was looking for all along. An escape from the numbness and constant hunger. Nora is going downhill quickly. Her legs and arms have swollen immensely overnight, turning to a dark purple where her blood is pooling. The dark webbing has enveloped her once tan skin, blackening the white of her eyes and the pink of her gums and lips. I can hear her now from the surveillance room screaming for more food. The guttural sound is nothing like the screams of terror just days before when she was begging to be released. It is almost animalistic, a sound of rage and pain. Between both Murray and herself, they have eaten through 2 months' supply of our protein storage. We don't have any other choice at this point. We cannot give her any more. Not if we are going to survive down here until it's safe enough to get away from this town and whatever they did to it. Day 13. Nora is dead. I don't want to get into the details of her last night, but the pain and agony she must have suffered brought tears to my eyes as I watched her lay bleeding on the cold floor of her room, her skull crushed in from violently charging the corner of the pass-through. I am ashamed to say, but it was too much for us to watch through the window, so we viewed it from the monitors instead, like a gruesome horror movie, something that wasn't real. Whatever demons she experienced at the end are gone now. For that, we are thankful. The trucks have begun to disperse around town. We have finally got a glimpse of our watchers through the monitors. They are in level A hazmat suits with separate oxygen tanks. They have begun removing bodies from houses. It appears there is one lead person per truck, taking down information on a tablet and photographing the deceased faces before they are loaded one at a time. Although there are no identifying markers on the vehicles or persons themselves, we believe they are military by the way they hold themselves. An air of strength in such devastation and rot. Jim has sequestered himself in his room. He admitted this morning that he was feeling off. He has been exhausted and starving, sneaking packs of beef jerky and canned ham in his room for over a day, and is still not enough. He knows what is coming. As I sit here typing these words, reliving the horrors of the last day, it has become abundantly clear that I have been ignoring the signs, unwilling to see that something was wrong. Over the last 24 hours, I have noticed a drop in my typing speed and accuracy, making silly mistakes and stumbling over my words and typing things over and over again. I ignored it, rationalized it because I am stressed out and exhausted, but I can't anymore. The truth is we have been infected. All of us. When this first started, we didn't know what was coming next. We didn't realize the final phase of Hijack, this bioweapon, was days of unending torture, insanity, and ultimately a violently painful death. Had we known what we know now, maybe we wouldn't have let things go so far. Maybe we would have put them out of their misery instead of letting them kill themselves. I hope we would have. There is not enough chloroform left for Jane and the kids. Just enough to let them drift off into peaceful nothingness while they sleep and pray they never wake up. When they go to bed tonight, I will do it. I will lie down with them and hold them close one last time while they fade away. This will be my last and final post to you all. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you. Not only for the last 2 weeks of encouragement and private messages, but for the last 10 years we have spent together collaborating. We knew something was happening, and despite the false media and propaganda the government poured down our throats, we never relented. We never stopped believing. I implore you to share this everywhere you can. Reddit, Tumblr, Facebook. Make it impossible for them to completely erase us. Let it stretch far and wide, popping up in obscure places of the internet, never dying so they remember what they did here. Don't believe their lies. Never let them forget. Hi all. Thanks for listening into this narration. Don't forget to check out the author and the original story in the links below. Also, the link for the book, Storming Area 51, Horror at the Gate, will be down there as well. Don't forget to check that out. Thank you for being a part of this channel. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.